Hey everyone, what's going on? And today we are playing Onitama. Dun dun dun. What's going on, Sarah?
Not a whole lot. How are you?
Good. So what's Onitama?
Onitama is a two-player only game that feels like chess, but is quite a bit different than chess, and is a little bit easier than chess because no matter which piece you choose to move, it can only move a certain way. In chess, every piece has its own way of moving. In this game, no matter which piece you pick up and play, it can only move in one way. And that is driven by these cards. So in the game, we have 2 cards each. So I start with these 2 cards, Nick starts with 2 cards, and 1 card is left off to the side. Those are the only cards we're gonna play with in the whole game. There are a lot more in the box, but you only ever play with 5 cards. The reason there are more is to, increase the replayability and the variability every time you play. So what happens on your turn is very simple. You select one of your 2 cards and you move any one of your pieces in a way in which the card would allow. So for example, my eel, if I wanted to move my eel, the black space here always represents the active piece. And then in this case, the gold spaces indicate where it could move. So I can take any one of the pieces that I can control and it becomes the black space, and then I can move it into any one of the gold spaces. So for example, if I were going to use the eel, should I use the eel? What do you think? Should I use the eel? I don't have a cat in this game. We've got rooster, ox, mantis, rabbit, and eel. All right, so if I were going to use the eel, I could move any one of my pieces either 1 space diagonally, or maybe if this guy was here, I could move it 1 space to the right, or if this guy was here, I could move it 1 space diagonally and forward. And I would just do one of those things. So I'd select one piece and I would move it into one of these gold boxes here, and then I would end my turn by taking the card that I had used and sliding it to my neighbor, and then picking up this card over here. Now, my neighbor does the same thing. Nick would play a card, either the rooster or the ox, whatever he wants to play. Let's pretend that he wants to play the ox.
Okay.
He is going to use that card to move either 1 space forward, 1 space back, or 1 space to the side. Actually, if you did this, you would capture my piece.
Yes.
And that is kind of the point of the whole game. You either want to capture your opponent's master, thank you, or you want to move your master into the throne of your opponent. And whoever does that first wins the game. So, like I said, it's very simple. On your turn, you simply select a card to play. You move a pawn in that particular way. You slide the card to your neighbor. You pick up the new card. That's your entire turn. So, very simple. The cards tell you exactly how you can move. You only have 2 choices, but there is a lot to think about in this game because since you are sharing the cards with your opponent, you have to make sure you're not handing them exactly what they need to defeat you. So pretty simple mechanically, pretty deep strategically. The game is lovely. These are all standard components except the gold leaf the gold leaf cards. I'm sorry about our rude child over here. He just wants to be the center of attention all the time. So yeah, everything is standard here except the gold leaf cards. Those are a promotional item that I picked up at a show.
Gen Con.
Yeah, I believe it was Gen Con. They had a really, really cool display where they built a structure out of the Onitama boxes, and it actually looked like some sort of oriental building sculpture type thing.
I think we got these at Gen Con, but I think what you're discussing was Origins.
Oh, maybe so. I've been to a lot of shows. I tend to mix them up.
They start bleeding.
Yeah, they start to bleed together. So, so we got the gold leaf cards at a show, but everything else here, the pawns, the neoprene mat, they're all standard, and they are regular tarot-sized cards in the game itself. There have been 2 expansions that have come out for Onitama.
I think it's just 1.
No, it's 2.
It's 2?
Yeah, it's 2. The first one introduced a few new cards.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second one introduced a
It's a spirit of the wind.
Yeah, and it's a what's it called when nobody controls it?
It's a, I don't know. It's
I can't remember. A neutral pawn, which can be moved about by either player. We have not played with that one yet, but we were talking about potentially playing through a game just to kind of refresh our memory on the game a little bit because we haven't played in a while, and then maybe trying that out. So if we do that, we will post a video. There is a lot of neat flavor text in the instructions. Would you like me to read you some of it?
sure.
Okay, so this is Onitama, an elegant and simple game of martial tactics. And it says here, "Hear now the words of the 8 immortals, O true sage and vigilant warrior. If you would find true mastery of body and spirit, seek the path to the shrine of Onitama." From the Book of Heaven, 7th scroll. Carved into the crags of the mist-shrouded mountains of ancient Japan lies the shrine of Onitama. It is a place of enlightenment and skill, a site dedicated to spirits that guide the schools of martial art across the land. Masters of these schools hazard the journey to Onitama with their most promising disciples to meet within its hallowed walls and prove their superiority in battle against the others. These contests are more than simple combat, for in this place the animal spirits that guide the schools whisper their guidance to the masters and bolster the students with otherworldly strength and dexterity. I feel like none of that really comes through in this game, but it's neat.
It's neat. Yeah.
Here's another entry from the Book of Heaven 7. This is from the 2nd scroll, excuse me. "Hear me, if you would prove your art above all others. When you have mastered its mysteries, then you may seek to challenge others. It is through superior strategy and superior skill that the master of masters will be known, and the true art will be revealed." And then I believe there is one more. Two more. This one is from the Scroll of Onitama, on which the names of the true masters are written. "These words are written in the presence of the scribes of Onitama. I have unlocked the mysteries of my art, which I believe to be the true art. I have listened to the spirits, and I have studied the manuals of my ancestors, passing along the wisdom to my disciples. I ask now in this place between heaven and earth that my art be judged in the eyes of the 8 immortals and all men."
Ooh.
And then the last little bit of flavor text here is from the Book of Heaven, the Golden Scroll. "These are the words of the enlightened ones. There are 2 paths to superiority. To best another master as the larger stone breaks the smaller, or to wrest control away from his art as the stream carries away all within it." So that one is kind of about the 2 ways that you can win, right? You can either defeat another opponent's master, or you can end up in their like sort of throne room. So some neat little flavor text there. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
All right.
So there's not going to be real much of a mid game to this. It's just, we'll come back when there's a winner and a loser. And yeah, this will be one of our little shorter vlogs because we'll do a vlog on this and then probably another vlog, separate
maybe
vlog
we'll do one
on the expansion.
Yeah, the Way of the Wind expansion.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll get back to you guys in a bit. Toodles. And so we are back to declare the aftermath of the 2 temples clashing, and my students were Cobra Kai, and we were very vicious. So yeah.
I'm not particularly good at this game unless I'm like very well rested and like have eaten recently and can really concentrate on it. So I'm not typically good at this game anyway. But tonight I was particularly not good at it as Nick took all 4 of my students and then my master in fairly quick succession. I only had one of his students.
Well, I feel like in this game you can go fast. There are like if we were playing chess, like I would take you'd be like, come on, go. Like I'm thinking 20 billion moves right now. I'm Magnus Carlsen this right now. But I wanted to mention a few things. So on the cards, they have their own like little flavor text. And also, which I think is a really cool design thing. So any piece can do any move that the card can produce. So with that in mind, you can look at your opponent's cards, the orientation they are in, facing you, and that's how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, like for example, I can play either of these cards, but from Nick's perspective, the way that I will play these cards is the exact same way that he sees them. So I can see them from my perspective and I know exactly how my pieces are going to move, but my opponent can see them from their perspective and they also still know
So
how
we
the
can
pieces
kind
are
of
gonna move.
anticipate, like,
Yeah.
okay, so if I do this, they can do that.
Exactly.
And if I give them this card, then they'll be able to do this.
Exactly.
Which is really cool about the game. I like
It is. It's nice because it's a fairly complex great game
It's
strategically
very,
anyway.
You know, it's one of those easy to teach, but lifetime
Difficult to master kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because of that design, sort of feature,
Design
I guess.
aspect.
Yeah, that design feature or aspect, I guess. It means that it makes it a little bit easier to track exactly what your opponent is going to be able to do.
And it's a nice little game. It's definitely a nice filler game. You don't need, it's you need to be conscious for it, but at the same time, it's just if you want to play a small little quick game and if you wanted to talk to somebody over
I disagree with that a little bit.
Little bit?
I feel like this is one of those games where based on how well matched the players are, this game could go on for hours.
Yeah, and also it depends on, because all these cards you see, they weren't picked, but we didn't also have any, because there are cards that mirror each other.
Yeah, so like we just randomly chose the cards that we played with. You only
Yeah,
ever play with 5 cards per
yeah.
game.
Out of the gold leaf cards.
Yeah, we just randomly picked a few of the gold leaf cards to play with, but Nick is right. There are, like for the Ox, for example, there might be one that's the exact mirror image of that. So instead of going up, down, or to the right, you would be able to go up, down, or to the left.
Yeah.
And games in which...
Or you have cards like, there's one card that doesn't have a mirror, it's the dragon, and it's like, you can seriously just fly anywhere on the board, and you're like, this is just nuts. Or you can play the cat.
Who is destructive and has no alliances
No alliances.
and does not value his mother's rest.
Nope. just thug cat over here. But yeah. So yeah, man, see man. But yeah, I really enjoy this game. It's one of my when I play, especially the mat. The mat's neoprene. It's like a mouse pad, so you can always roll it up and then just kind of whip it.
Actually, the whole thing, like we said, the gold leaf cards are a sort of an upgrade, but
Yeah.
the entire thing, their thoughtfulness for the production was evident. This is the box that it came in. It has a very well thought out insert. So all of the students fit right down into these little areas here. And then there are places for each of the masters right here. And then there's a place for the cards, and then the neoprene mat just rolls up and goes right inside. And with a little bit of coaxing, you can fit all of the expansion content that has been produced for the game into this game.
Thus far.
Yeah. There's only 2 expansions out so far, but everything will fit in here if you are gentle and just sort of nudge things into place. But in addition to being handy storage and usefully designed storage, it's also very pretty storage. There are panels like this here, where this is a magnetic clasp, so it actually like folds up and clasps shut. And we store it on our shelf like this, and it's a unique and pretty packaging there, but also functional. And then there's just a lot of attention to detail. They just put a lot of detail in where they didn't necessarily have to. And their expansion boxes were sort of mirror image of this, but smaller. So each expansion box was only about this big, and it was exactly like this, where it was like a square box that had this fold-out clasp like panel in it. And yeah, like we said, there are 2 expansions out currently. There was the Way of the
Wind.
The Way of the Wind was the second one.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not-
remember what the first one was called, and I don't believe there was a rule book for it because it was just some extra cards.
Yeah, there's just different ways to move.
Yeah, so it just provided more cards. And then the Way of the Wind expansion gave you more cards, and this little wind spirit creature here, which goes onto the board, and both players can move this piece. And it's sort of like a third party or neutral piece. But I believe it can still like get in the way or things like that. So we've never played with this before.
Well, I've played with it before.
Oh, you have? Okay.
It's basically,
What did you think?
if you take, so with this piece, all it does is if I'm, red and you're blue, and I move this piece on top of your piece, they'll just switch places, and so that'll
okay.
bring it back to where.
So who controls? Do I get to control that?
No, both
or-
of us. Both of us get to use it. We just use
But
the
you
card
can
on this
like
piece.
teleport my pieces around?
They can never take pieces, but they'll always like swap with pieces.
Interesting.
So you're forcing, an
But
opponent
it still has
to
to
get
move
closer.
by way of the card?
Yeah, still has to move by way of the card. And it's just
And
interesting
then you
because
still switch the cards?
yeah, you still switch the cards because you're still using the card to move the piece. And but yeah, I liked this expansion. I played it with a couple friends, and they were like, it just brought a whole new kind of strategy, and kind of turned everything on top of its head with that, because sometimes, like Sarah said, you can have cards and stuff, and you get 2 well thought players, and it could take a while. But the Way of the Wind expansion kind of brought like get over here a little bit, and so it was a very nice and well thought out expansion. Just a little I think there's some cards with it, but mainly it was just that piece. But yeah.
Yeah, I believe there are a few cards that I'm not exactly sure what they do. Like we said, we've never played with them before. I've never played with them before. But yeah, I think we said we were maybe going to give that a try.
Yeah, on another vlog.
Okay, cool. So we'll put that up on the channel maybe later this week or next.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, this was Onitama. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye.